Hey guys, I'm Sara Bendrick, licensed landscape contractor, and today I want to talk to you guys about ledge lights. This is the CL-31 from FX Luminaire, and we're installing it on a retaining wall. This fixture in particular is their powder coated black. It has a brass base, and then there's also the antique bronze, which we're going to use for this application. Now, for a retaining wall, there's a lot of different ways that you can light it up, but for this yard, based on the scale of the yard, we didn't want to have too much light, and we wanted to have just the right accents, and that's why we're choosing to use a ledge light. Now, the interesting thing about the ledge light is there's multiple ways to attach it. Because this is a new installation and the wall caps are not attached, we have this mounting unit that comes on the light fixture that we can use to slide in right under the cap. You can use adhesive or screws if you would like to attach. However, if you already have a wall that was built and you want to attach this, you can actually break off this little bar here, and then you can go ahead and screw it from the top, or you can screw it from the side, depending on what application you might need this for and what type of materials you're working with. The CL-31 ledge light is super versatile. You can use it in so many different ways. Of course, here we're sticking it under a cap to light up our retaining wall, but you can use it to light up other hardscape applications by tucking it under, really whatever you can think of. A handy feature about this light is you can actually flip the light source, which is super helpful if you're on the job site, but you really need your wiring to come from this side. It also has a 10-foot lead, which makes it easier to hook up to the rest of your lighting system. All right, we're ready to install our CL-31s. So we have this right here. And again, there's a few different ways to install this light. I'm really lucky because on this job site, we are in the middle of construction. My caps are not attached yet. So I'll be able to just place my light. I've already measured out where I want it. And I'm gonna be able to tuck my wire right in this crack right here, which is pretty great. So that is one thing to consider, is where the light is gonna sit and how it's gonna get to the other side of the wall. So for here, it just sits right here. If I needed to place my light here, I would need to get a grinder and grind it out just a little bit right there. Now, if your wall cap was already installed, you can just break off this part right here, and then you can attach it through here. You'll still need a core drill or get your wire to the other side or figure out how you're running it. But for me, we'll start with this easy installation. Now, you can always use screws to screw on the top, especially if this was in a wood application. That would be a great way to do it. But because this is masonry, I don't want the cap of the screws to make my wall cap unlevel. So I'm going to just use glue on the bottom and the top, and then place my wall cap, and that will hold this in place. But before I do that, I want to make sure that I run my wire and attach it. So let's get started with that. So we have a really long lead wire, which is great. And I love that it's thinner because it fits through my wall, which is nice. So when you're figuring out the placement of your lights, figuring out the placement on the wall is an important thing. For this project in particular, I'm spacing them on the architectural features and then dividing the difference in the other long areas. I want to give myself a little bit of room to play on the back here, so I'm gonna cut my wire. All right. We're going to use the shrink wrap method for connecting these wires. Stick this one on. Okay. Okay. All right, so now I'm just gonna get the heat gun and shrink these on. All right, just gonna tuck these back behind the wall now. And now I can attach my light. One thing I want to remind you is that you can switch the lamp if you need to, and that will give you a new orientation of the wire. But for this job, I actually do want it on the side that it was on, so. All right, we're ready to glue in our light. The first thing you want to make sure is that your stone or masonry is not dirty so that you get a good adhesion. Okay. All right, great. I'm gonna pull my wire, make sure it's nice and snug in this seam that I have. And now I'm gonna glue my cap on. This is gonna lock this light into place. There we go. Get my mallet. No, maybe not. Okay. All right. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. So we have our light installed. Now I want to show you really quickly 2 other ways to install the light if you needed to. So you could completely remove the support here, the brace, and then you could screw them in from the top here. So you have these 2 areas. So if you needed to, you could use a masonry bit and use some masonry screws and screw the light in that way. You'd have to figure out how to hide your wire. So the other way would be to break this off completely. Keep this way so you can use those to attach as well. All right, well that is how you install the CL-31 ledge light. I chose the antique bronze for this project because it went nice with this brownstone color of our paver retaining wall. They're beautiful and they're spaced out just perfectly to add enough accent to this wall but not overwhelm it.
Thank you for choosing FX Luminaire. For more information, go to fxl.com.